My name is Darrell Kwao. Thanks for being with us tonight. The Bank of Ghana is taking steps to improve data collection in the banking and financial sector to strengthen the country's economic systems. This is in line with the Monetary and Fiscal Statistics Manual and compilation developed by the IMF to guide member countries in the dissemination of economic and financial data to the public. The advisor on research for the Bank of Ghana, Grace Akrofi, spoke to Joy Business at the opening ceremony of the regional course on monetary and financial statistics.
The regional course on monetary and financial statistics is a training program for the financial services sector involving participants from across the African sub-region on the compilation of monetary statistics covering central banks in accordance with international standards. In an interview with the press, Advisor Research for the Bank of Ghana, Grace Akrofi, said the regulator has taken keen interest in building capacity in the banking sector to improve collection.
Bank of Ghana sort of tracks all the statistics in the financial sector. So we are talking about banks, all the non-bank financial institutions. We are talking about bank financial institutions like what is happening in the Forest Bureau, what's happening in the microfinance institutions, etc. And you know that it's very important what these institutions are doing in Ghana. So when we get an idea of what is happening in all these institutions and they are put together in the monetary and financial statistics, it gives you an idea of how our financial system is. For example, you look at the assets and liabilities of the banks. You look at solvency issues of the banks. You look at liquidity issues of the banks. So the monetary and financial statistics give us an idea of how these banks are doing. And a very stable and sound financial system in any country is very, very important. Because if there's a run on the banks, for example, it could have a problem. We could have a problem. So the monetary and financial statistics are very, very critical for monetary policy and to help policymakers look at the direction and what they should be doing to make either to make the financial system stronger, or if there are problems, what they can do with these statistics to ensure that we get on course.
On his part, the Director, Macroeconomic Department for the West African Institute for Financial and Economic Management, YFM, said the role of data collection in the financial sector cannot be overemphasized.
You see that you're compiling what normally we call all that monetary survey. The monetary survey is made up of the monetary statistics of the central bank, the other commercial banks, which are depository corporations, DCs, and other depository like the non-bank financial institutions. So if you have data on all that, you'll be able to tell how strong the financial sector or the financial system is. If you had information about all these things, you'll be able to see that some of the performance of the banks. So that is a very good source of, finding out how strong or weak the financial system is.
The course, organized by the IMF and the West African Institute for Financial and Economic Management, YFM, will run from October 16th to 27th.
President Akufo-Addo says there is the need for Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire to cooperate and present a united front at the world stage when it comes to pricing of cocoa. That, according to the president, will help reduce the vulnerability of the two countries that produce most of the world's cocoa.
Being the two largest producers of cocoa, Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire have begun to cooperate to ensure that we do not continue to be victims or pawns of a global cocoa industry that is dependent on the work of our farmers. It is worth stressing again on this occasion that in 2015, our two countries earned from our output, which accounted for 65% of the world's cocoa production, some $5.75 billion United States dollars, at a time when the global chocolate market was worth some 100 billion United States dollars. It meant that our farmers, through whose toil and sweat the cocoa industry is founded, earned 5.75% of the global value chain of the industry. This is manifest injustice. It cannot and should not continue. President Ouattara and I have decided to work together to provide the necessary leadership for technical and political cooperation that promotes the interests of our farmers and addresses effectively the international cocoa price decline in the short to medium term. We are fashioning far-reaching policies towards achieving a shared vision of an industrialized and prosperous domestic cocoa economy. This will reduce our vulnerability to the volatility of the markets and help deliver prosperity to our farmers and peoples.
In other news tonight, commuters and patrons of State Transport Corporation (STC) and VIP of the GPRT in Kumasi are ascribing or attributing proximity and safety as major factors of consideration for the choice of transport service to patronize. This follows a standoff between the two transport operators in Kumasi after the GPRT prevented the STC from operating on a supposed land close to the VIP terminal. Authorities project this to be the potency to bring undue competition to the VIP, which has enjoyed what has become a monopoly in the transport sector in Kumasi. Meanwhile, details of a meeting between the two parties to resolve the impasse is yet to be communicated. Nanaya Ojima has been following up on this story for us and our reports.
Has currently swept all the Ghana awards at the World Travel
Apologies for the mix-up. We'll bring you that story later on. Let's move on to the tourism sector, where we're hearing that the Ghana Tourism Authority is saying that it has identified 33 tourism sites nationwide that require development. Acting Director of the authority, Akwesi Ajiman, tells Joy businesses Odilia and Tiamwa 3 sites have been identified in each region. Additional 3 have also been recognized in Tema.
Ghana doesn't come into your mind first when you think tourism. Exactly how are we doing to improve our recall?
I mean, the recall will be more marketing. And so we are doing that. I mean, in terms of, for example, there are certain roadshows and fairs that we were not part of. I mean, we just came back from Lagos, where we had about 27 person delegation made up of tour operators, people in the industry. We all went to Lagos. We went to Togo, Benin, Lagos to network, to make sure that Ghana is put out there. We won the best stand at that Akwaba fair in Lagos. Another team just came back from Zimbabwe, and also our stand was one of the most visited. And so we are doing a lot of marketing. We've all just set up a new digital unit to make sure that we are very active on social media. We've changed our web address. We have a new portal that is coming up. We are working on it, visitghana.com, all to market the country. But like you said, you market, you do all the marketing. If the people come and their service experience is not there, they will go and not come again. The word of mouth will not go. They will go and say, forget about that country, they're just making noise. And so at the back of it, we are doing some reinvestments. I mean, we've currently identified 33 sites working with GTDC, 3 per region. And in our case, we have 11 regions because Tema is classified as a region. And so 3 iconic sites per region to upgrade. Some of them may need hotels, some of them may need roads. And so to that extent, there's also an interministerial tourism committee that is looking at some of these things. Roads is part of it, foreign affairs is part of it, environment is part of it. Roads to sea. For example, currently the roads ministry will be doing their budget. They will not be thinking of tourist sites. But because of that committee, we have identified all the sites that are must-do roads. Kakumbi, one of them. It's almost near completion. If you go to Mole, for example, the roads have been done. If you go to other places, we need to make sure that the roads are up to a certain standard. And so that is one thing that we are doing from the policy point of view.
Aviation now and global air transport IT provider Sita has been contracted to provide its world-class passenger and baggage processing technology as well as its airport management solutions to Ghana's new Terminal 3 at the Kotoka International Airport here in Accra. This is to help reinforce the airport's position as a vital regional hub. Ghana's largest and only international airport is expanding its capacity to meet significant growth in international passenger traffic, increasing the airport's capacity to 5 million passengers a year. The country's aviation industry has witnessed growth over the past decade due to the discovery of petroleum and gas reserves, sustained domestic demand, and the growth of the tourism sector. The global air transport IT provider has worked closely with the construction company building the new terminal and the Ghana Airports Company Limited, the operator, to ensure that the new terminal has the most up-to-date technology to support the country's modern airport infrastructure. Sita is deploying its latest passenger processing technology, including common use check-in desks and self-service check-in kiosks to allow the airport maximize its capacity by enabling airlines to cost-effectively share the same infrastructure. The airport will also make use of Sita's state-of-the-art baggage management technology that will assist airlines in tracking bags every step of the way, helping them meet IATA's Resolution 753 requirements. Sita already provides technology for Terminals 1 and 2 at the Kotoka International Airport and will ensure that its world-class technology is fully integrated with the existing terminals from day one. This will ensure smooth passenger and baggage processing and efficient operations. Moving on now, and some stakeholders in the housing sector are asking government to adopt energy-efficient systems in the construction of affordable housing units. But Business Development and Marketing Manager of Emerald Properties, Seroni Aiti Tete, tells Joy Business using energy-efficient materials will help reduce the cost of housing and also create jobs in the construction sector. He was speaking ahead of the maiden edition of the Green Building Summit on Wednesday.
At which the market is right now, you need to invest in green technology or adopt green build methods. Why is green build method so important, and why is it relevant, and why is it the future? The other day I was speaking to someone, and it was very interesting to note that the indoor air quality is poorer than the air outside. Why is it so? Because there are volatile organic compounds emitting from the paints, from the finishes that we use for all the desks and tables in the offices and even the homes as well. You breathe in these chemicals, it gives you sinus issues, it gives you headaches, and usually people don't know that this is what is causing it. We are sick and we are unhealthy every day because of our environment. So on an individual level, green building is good for you. On the national level, when we begin to make all these energy savings, because what green buildings are, in the simplest terms, is a building that is energy and resource efficient. So the kind of blocks that you use to construct a building, they need not retain as much heat as the traditional blocks will retain, because when they retain as much heat, you use more power to power your ACs, you spend more on your energy bills, and then in putting up some of these buildings, we use too much water and we waste a lot of materials, thereby having a negative impact on the environment. So environmental degradation keeps going on and on and on. So green building on all levels, on all fronts, is absolutely essential. It's the future. We need to spark that conversation, and that is why we decided as a company to come into partnership with GREDA, who is the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, and then the main body overseeing green building in Ghana, that's the Ghana Green Building Council. We are doing this in conjunction with them, and tomorrow at the African Regent, we are sparking this conversation. We're hoping to sensitize all the key stakeholders in the industry, the engineers, the planners, the architects, and the real estate developers, to create awareness. Because there's this myth out there that going green is quite expensive. The least or the basic that a lot of people know is solar power, and it already scares people. But there are so many models and other opportunities that can be explored. So that is why we are sparking this conversation, to sensitize all the key players on different levels.
We are taking you back to the situation in the Ashanti region, where we've been reporting that commuters and patrons of STC and VIP in Kumasi are attributing proximity and safety as major factors of consideration for the choice of transport service to patronize. This follows a standoff between the two transport operators in Kumasi after the GPRTU prevented STC from operating on a supposed land close to the VIP terminal authorities project. This is due to the capacity to bring undue competition to the VIP, which has enjoyed what has become a monopoly in the transport business in Kumasi. Here's Nanaya Jima's report.
It took the intervention of the Ashanti Regional Minister, his deputy, and the KMA Chief Executive to resolve what could have been a bloody clash between members of the Asafo VIP bus terminal and staff of the STC. What exactly happened was that STC has acquired a land close to where the VIP is operating now in Kumasi, which the VIP is unhappy about. The STC say they got the land from one of the locals of the GPRTU to operate here. What happened yesterday affected business of both parties.
In every situation, there must be a competition. So these people, the VIP should allow STC also to take part of the place. We are looking at where the two stations are, where the STC are, and where this VIP to where they are at the Newcross station. To me, going to STC yard in the night is a very problematic, looking at the security issues and other stuff. So coming to Newcross station within the night to take a bus to Accra, I think here is the safest place.
But for me, I like the STC. Some people prefer the VIP. So those who don't like the VIP, for those who go the STC, because that one is cheaper than the VIP. We all can't afford the VIP.
Today, the parties were supposed to meet the Ashanti Regional Minister to try resolve the issue. After about 3 hours meeting in camera, it is unclear what they arrived at. Both parties refused to speak to the media, insisting the Regional Coordinating Council will address the media. But after their exit, the Ashanti Regional Minister didn't speak to the media. And what his aides are saying is that a communique will be issued later on in the day. Reporting for Joy Business, Nanaya Ojima.
We are taking you up north, where some farmers are warning of a food crisis in the coming months, which could lead to an increase in prices of major staples such as maize. This, according to them, is primarily due to the devastation caused by the fall armyworm invasion. Justice Baidu traveled to the northern regional town of Bimbila, a major food-growing area, and reports.
In this land, there is uncertainty. This time of the year should be the major harvest season, and yet there is very little to take home. Wumbe Al-Hassan has spent nearly 2,000 cedis cultivating this 10-acre farm over the last 6 months. Now all the days of hard work has been brought down by the fall armyworms.
Life is not normal again. There is hunger looming. How are we going to feed ourselves? How are we going to feed our families?
Like Wumbe, hundreds, possibly thousands of farmers share similar stories of loss and pain. Since March this year, the pests have invaded nearly 120,000 hectares of farmland. Government pledged a fight back with its pesticide control program. That intervention, it seems, failed to trickle down to the people who needed it the most.
Extension officers here are
are woefully inadequate. One officer will be taking, let's say, 20, 25 communities. He cannot pass the information.
Malnutrition resulting from a lack of food is already causing enough havoc. It is responsible for up to a third of all childhood deaths in Ghana now. 1 in every 5 children is now stunted. This part of Ghana, already one of the country's poorest, is also the most affected. It is the reason why any further shortage in food resulting from this invasion could be grave. People in Bimbilla, like many other farming communities, worry. But the impact of this year's armyworm invasion will be felt in places far from here. Inside the Bimbilla market, today is market day. This is one of the biggest food markets in the northern region. It is from here that foodstuffs like maize are sent to bigger cities like Accra and Kumasi. But this year, it seems it's not going to be business as usual. Inside, I meet Fauzia Zainabu, who retails maize from here for sale in markets in Accra.
Last year, we were buying a bowl of maize for 2 cedis. This year, it's 3 cedis, and it's even early days yet. There will be shortage. So in Accra, the price can go up to about 7 cedis.
Researchers say the worms could be even more destructive in the next farming season. It is the reason why an effective response should be now rather than later. Justice Beidou, JoyNews, Bimbilla.
Well, while the farmers up north are warning of a food crisis, guess what? The National Food and Buffer Stock Company, NAFCO, has hinted of a bumper harvest in the last 3 months of the year. Here's the acting chief executive of NAFCO, Abdul Wahab Hanan, speaking to Joy Business yesterday as the country joined others across the globe to mark World Food Day.
Funds are already available for purchases. So we are actually, starting the process as soon as possible. We are going to start the process as soon as possible because we are expecting harvesting in the north in some few months' time. But in the south, harvesting have started already. So license buying companies have started mobilizing from farmers in the south of their major season. The national estimation of maize that we are looking at is 1.96 million metric tons and 720,000 metric tons of paddy rice. So government is working very hard to make funds available to purchase every excess grain from farmers in order to reduce the post-harvest losses.
So when all is said and done,
having enough stock, we are there to save the national interest. We have our warehouses across the country, and one other mandate of the National Food Buffer Stock is price stabilization, so that when prices of these commodities are high in the market, we introduce the stock we have at a reduced cost so that we can admit more, so that a middleman or market queen or king would not, determine the price of the maize, because we are there to serve the nation and to make sure that food is readily available, and not just available but affordable.
Well, it's time for our interview of the day. Let's roll the video.
Interview of the day.
That is work in progress, but up to now what we do is to do the same classification that we have for general hotels.
Exactly what sort of classification do you do? How do you do your ratings in Ghana here?
I mean, ratings are international, so to that extent, what somebody will expect in a 5-star hotel in Amsterdam should not change when they come to Accra. So we look at the various services that they offer. Some may be what, from a layman's point of view, we'll say very trivial. I mean, like, for example, hangers in a room, I mean, are all part of classification. The way you receive guests, reception area, facilities that you have, Wi-Fi, so many other things that you look at. So it's like a checkbox. Once you're able to tick so many, then with the star rating is done. So we based it on international standards, because people will expect that a 3-star across the world is the same. However, we also look at peculiarities, I mean, for the market that we are in. So, I mean, some of the hotels that we have, based on the experience that they want to offer or are serving the clients, will decide that maybe reception area, we want to keep it this way to express a certain African feel. In that case, there is some little bit of discretionary authority that our inspectors have to look at it and see whether the service is the same. I mean, classification for us is more about service, not infrastructure. So you could have a hotel that is very beautiful. If you see it from outside, somebody will say, wow, this is a nice hotel, but when you go in, so when we come to service classification, for example, and standards and star ratings, we look at infrastructure as one, but more importantly, service assessment.
Interview of the day.
And that's it for Business Live tonight. My name is Daryl Kwao. We are back same time tomorrow. In the meantime, you can catch up on all the news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business.